welcome to tonight's podcast episode. This is Matt Lehner. Tonight we're going to be talking about how to get a basketball scholarship, how to make a college basketball roster, and that's what we're going to get into. I got asked this question by a particular player on Facebook. He was asking me, how do I get a basketball scholarship? How do I contact schools? How do I make this happen? Now, full disclaimer, first off, I myself have not personally gotten a college basketball scholarship. I did play college basketball for 2 years. I did make a semi-pro basketball roster, and I have listened to quite a few coaches and trainers talk about how to get a basketball scholarship, how to contact schools, how to contact coaches, whether that be college or professional teams. So I do have some knowledge on this topic, and that's why some players have asked me, so we're going to get into that. The first point, if you want to get a basketball scholarship, if you want to even play college basketball, is you have to be a player. You have to be good. You got to have something that other coaches are going to want on their team, especially if you expect to get a basketball scholarship. You have to be a player. So that's point number one. You need to be working on your game. You need to continue working on your game no matter what happens, because if you don't, you won't get anywhere. So you need to be a player. You need to have a game. And this is point number one. Now, one thing I want you to realize is a lot of the players that get basketball scholarships, especially in the U.S., they're mainly Division I players. The way it works in the U.S., because this particular player that asked me this question was not from the U.S. So some players might not understand this if they're from overseas. The major level of college basketball in the U.S. is the NCAA. The NCAA has three divisions: Division I, Division II, and Division III. Division I players are mainly the guys you see on TV. These are the players that receive the highest scholarships. Division II players can receive scholarships, and Division III players typically will not get athletic scholarships, but they will be able to get academic and other types of scholarships. And in terms of other levels of college basketball, there's the NAIA, there's junior colleges, there's a bunch of other leagues out there. If you actually go to Wikipedia and type in basketball leagues, they will list all the basketball leagues in every country in the world. And if you're from overseas and you want to see the U.S., you can go to college basketball, and then it will list all the levels of college basketball as well as all the different levels of professional basketball in the U.S. here. So you can check that out. Again, just type in basketball leagues on Wikipedia if you're curious about how and what the different levels are in the U.S. But these players who get the scholarships are typically Division I players, and I'm guessing a lot of the people that are asking these questions, if you expect to get a basketball scholarship, you need to ask yourself, are you as good as these players that you're seeing on TV? Because these are the players that are getting the highest scholarships. Now, this doesn't mean that it can't happen for you, but that's what you have to realize, that these players are the ones you're seeing on TV, and you need to actually be a player if you expect this to happen. So that's point number one. Be a player, continue working on your game, and that will bring us to step number two, which is you need to collect your stats, your game film, and you need to have your schedule of your upcoming season. Now, you want to, if you're going to actually contact schools, which a lot of the time, if you want to get a basketball scholarship, if you even want to just play on a college team, a lot of these players are scouted at a young age. They play AAU basketball, they play summer basketball, and they're seen even before they get to high school. So if this is your situation, then that's good. But a lot of the time, if the players that are asking these questions, typically that's not the situation they're in. You know, they're freshmen, sophomores, juniors, almost done with high school, and they're trying to play college basketball, get a scholarship. It's going to be a lot more difficult to do this in your situation, but again, it's not impossible. So again, collect your stats, your game film from the previous seasons that you've played, make a highlight tape, post those stats and game film online. Put the game film and highlight tapes on YouTube. Put the stats on like a blog or some sort of online profile. There's a bunch of them out there you can search on Google. And just make sure you have your schedule, because what we're going to do is we're going to eventually want to contact these schools and contact these coaches of college teams and send them this stuff. But again, point number 2, make sure you have your stats, game film, and your schedule. Point number 3 is to talk to your current coach, your current high school coach, current coach, AU coach, whoever your coach is right now. Talk to him, explain to him what your goals, what your aspirations are. You should be doing this from day one if your goal is to play college basketball. But if you haven't, make sure you do this ASAP, right away. You're going to sit down with him, explain to him that you want to play college basketball. Make sure you have schools that you're interested in. This is actually the next point, but it would help if you actually did this ahead of time, is to find schools that you're interested in, whether that's specifically for basketball, but also academically, schools that would support and be emphasizing the major that you want to pursue academically, whatever you're interested in. Find these schools, get their contact info, and then sit down with your coach and talk to him about these schools, about what you're trying to do. And a lot of the time, the coach will be able to actually contact these schools for you. And a lot of the time, these college coaches will take more from your high school coach or club coach than they will from you actually contacting them. So make sure you have this conversation. So once you have that, once you have your stats, your game film, your schedule, you've found some schools that you're interested in, you've talked to your coach, you can also start contacting schools yourself. Now, again, this is a numbers game. You want to have, in particular, at least 10 schools that you're interested in, 10 schools that are actually possible for you to play at. But you want to contact as many schools as possible via email, because again, this is a numbers game. You could send out 100, you could send out 1,000 emails, and you might only hear back from a couple coaches. But again, you only need one. If your goal is to play college basketball in general, you only need one school to give you that chance. So it's a numbers game. It'll help if you create a general email template. Make sure you include your height, your weight, your stats, links to your game film and highlight tape on YouTube. Attach your schedule for the upcoming seasons in case the coach is actually able to come and see you play. But again, if you live overseas and you're contacting U.S. coaches, it's going to be difficult for that to happen. So definitely make sure you have lots of game film so that you can send the links to them in the email and they can check you out online. That's something that we really can use to our advantage in our day and age. So make sure you're doing so. But again, send out as many emails as you can. If it's one of your top 10 schools that you're contacting, you can personalize the email a little more in that you should actually find game film of these schools, notice things about the team, how they play, the offense they run, the defense they run, point these things out in your email to the coach. It'll really impress him, set you apart from everybody else. But again, have a general email template that you send out to the rest of the schools. Again, contact as many as you possibly can. You can also send a DVD, your resume that includes your height, your weight, your stats, links to your game film and everything. You can send an actual package in the mail, including all these things, to schools. But again, if you live overseas and you're sending it to the U.S., it can take a long time and it can get rather expensive. But if you live in the U.S., this is definitely something you should consider, especially if it's one of your major schools. But definitely, you got to send those emails. You got to talk to your coach. You got to get him on your side. And then once you've done all these things, continue working on your game, but also attend exposure camps. Find camps in the U.S. that you could maybe come to. If you live in the U.S., this should be a little easier. But attend exposure camps, different college camps. Make sure you play against the best competition. AU ball definitely will help if you get on a good team. And just continue to get exposure, continue to contact schools, and make sure you do it right away, because the longer you wait, the older you get, the harder it is to make this happen. But again, there's always the chance of walking onto these schools as well. But again, make sure you do your work ahead of time. You now have the tools to make this happen. And if you're serious about playing at the next level, this is definitely something you got to work on. You got to continue to be posting videos, posting games online, highlight tapes. All this stuff helps. I've been doing it myself for years. And again, it just helps build your online basketball resume, which can only help you. It can only raise your game and raise your exposure to levels greater than you would do otherwise. So again, if you have any questions about contacting schools, what you need, don't hesitate to get in contact with me. This is something I've done quite a bit over the years, contacting colleges, contacting professional teams. So I can definitely help you out and give you some more information if you need it. But again, thanks for listening. Please subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Make sure you catch all the latest updates. And I'll talk to you again on the next episode of the Hoops Hall of Fame podcast.